Hello and welcome back to the Holistic Hatha Yoga Podcast. I am your host, Kelsey, and I am here to talk about a very fun subject. So I'm really excited to share this week what I've been up to. I've been a little bit of a ghosty ghost, so I am apologetic about that. I am sorry. The summertime has been summering and the leaves are coming. They're going to start changing. And we're heading right into fall. So here we go, my friends. Today I really wanted to talk about bringing your spiritual life into your reality. And specifically what I'm talking about is bringing it, into a group or spiritualizing in a group setting, doing something spiritual in a group setting, I guess is what I'm trying to spit out here. Because there is definitely a power in sharing, and there's a power in I talk so much about how we are so powerful and we're such powerful beings, and this is true. And so when you think about that, then you think about putting people's energy together and amplifying it. And holy shit, now you've got like a magnifying glass and sunlight and you've got fire here shortly. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should, where you have a magnifying glass and sunlight can go through it. And then if you focus it in the right way, the light can be intense enough to actually start a fire. I did that as a child and it was very fun. So if you've never done it, I suggest give it a shot, but do it safely and make sure you can put the fire out that you do start. So anyway, that's a tangent. But yeah, when you come together in a group, there's something very powerful about that. And that has been known throughout all of humanity, really. All of these rituals were mostly done in groups, in communities. And many of them have been murdered or disposed of or gotten rid of otherwise. And there are a few standing religions or spiritualities that are quote unquote acceptable to practice in modern day life, that you do not get chastised for partaking in. And so if you are part of one of those groups, that's lovely for you. You know, I love that people can go to church, and get to connect with others, on a spiritual level every Sunday, and that's a beautiful thing. However, for people who might not fit that exact mold of spirituality, sometimes it can be hard to find that group of people to touch in with, on a regular basis, that without it feeling like a chore, or a planned thing, where you can share these experiences together, where you can pray together, where you can manifest together, where you can make intentions together, where you can heal together, and just, it's a really beautiful space. So if you don't have that in your life, I do invite you to create that yourself. Think of some close friends that you may have that live in proximity to you. And think about, just extending an invite of like, hey, would you be willing to come over on X amount of day or whatever, and for a couple hours, and we'll do some fun things, some fun spiritual things together. And they might say yes, they might say no. This is the exciting part of being an adult and creating friendships, especially deep and lasting and meaningful connections. So, yes, so you might have to put yourself out there a little bit, but I highly encourage you, if you are not already part of a local spiritual group of some sort, create one yourself. And so I did this recently, and it was so much fun. It was so beautiful that I'm definitely going to continue to do it and keep it a regular thing. Probably not every week, but maybe every 2 weeks. This feels like a good pace for me and my lifestyle. And maybe even just once a month, but I think every 2 weeks would be a good time. So anyway, I had never really, outside of with my cousins, I have two cousins I'm very close with, And when we were young, we did a lot of spiritual things together. And so we would do like seances and communication and things like that together. And that was extremely powerful. We got a lot of information and things through, and just wild experiences through all of that. But that being said, that was in my adolescence, my teens and things. And so in my adult life, I have kids and they're doing all the fun things and they have their friends and whatever. So I tend to just kind of hang out with their friends as parents and things. So I have been so blessed and so lucky to have found a lot of really great moms in this area that I do click with and things. And so, I was able to invite a few people over, or a couple people over, and we had a little new moon party. So we did it on the new moon, to just follow with a sacred day of some sort, a good day for setting intentions and for sitting and creating action and creating good fire energy. Um, so so I invited them over and they said yes. So I was then like, oh my gosh, what do we do? What are we going to do? Because they're not exactly yogis, we all have our own kind of spiritual path. But I wanted to do something that would be encompass everybody's beliefs and spirituality and feel good for everybody to participate in. So the first thing I want to say is that you really do need to set the stage or set the scene for something like this. So when we are doing rituals, it's so important to take time and take intention to set the stage and set that scene, clean everything up in that room or that area, tidy everything, set everything out, get out the new things that you need, make it look nice, bring offerings, bring flowers, bring, things that are just nice to have around, nice to look at, that we oftentimes think of frivolous or luxuries maybe. But it's like, no, this is a beautiful space. We're making this a beautiful space. We are curating a beautiful space. And I'm not saying you have to go above and beyond. Literally, all I did was, one, I knew I wanted us to be stationed outside because my children are wild and they were going to be here while we were doing our stuff. So I had a nice picnic table outside in the shade, near a bonfire, near our bonfire pits, because I knew we were going to be lighting some fire and burning some intentions and spells that we were writing. And so I set it up near the bonfire ring. I got a very simple tablecloth. I didn't even have a real tablecloth. I just had a curtain, an extra curtain that was laying around. And it was a beautiful curtain. So I was like, this is the perfect size. Let's lay it down. So like, this is what I mean when like, I'm saying set the stage and make it so pretty and intentional and whatever, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine was just like a picnic table with a curtain on it and it looked so cute. And then of course, bringing out the things to put on top of the table, I brought out some lavender sprigs, to, kind of bring about the idea of calm and gentleness. I brought out a bunch of different herbs and spices to use for our spells, like cinnamon, bay leaves, cloves, nutmeg, basic spices that I had lying around, that are really great for bringing about action and things for, like I said, our kind of new moon energy. It was also a Leo new moon, so Leo is a fire sign and really appreciates action. So we or I brought those out as well. I made a very fun little beverage for all of us, because when we're doing rituals like this or spiritual things at all, it's really nice to have an element of everything, so earth, water, air, and fire. So we had a little bit of all of that going on our table. The drink that I made was very simple. It was just soda water with some blackberries, lemon juice, and honey to sweeten it. So all natural things, all things that were found close to home, and things that were, helpful and healthy for us. So, um, so yeah, so I did that. Oh, and I also put hibiscus leaves, flower petals, I mean, oops, not leaves, um, in the drinks as well. So it just brought this like really beautiful element to it with the flower offering as well. So we had the herbs were like our both our earth and our air element because of the scent for the air, and then the herbs come from the earth. And we had fire with some candles, and we had water with our drink, with our special little elixir. Um, and so, yeah, I set the stage very simply. And then, yeah, my friends came over and it was a great time. And so you might be like, what the hell did you guys do? Um, and really all we did was have a great time, but we did take some time to write down one thing that we wanted to let go of and one thing that we wanted to bring in. So one release, one call in. Um, and that was really fun and powerful. We just shared what was at our own hearts and minds. That was very healing and cleansing. And we laughed. We laughed a lot and shared a lot between ourselves. And it was just a really, really lovely time. We were able to just reflect on where we are in our journey and where we're going, and kind of get that human element of just we're all doing our own thing, trying to find our own way. And it's so great to have help and friends along the way. Um, and so like after the fact, it was so great. We felt so connected. And then the next few days, like we all had very wild, experiences, like we had, very interesting dreams that were, I don't know if that was related to any of the mugwort we had burned and like inhaled basically, around the fire. That was a fun herb to play with. We also had a bunch of lemon balm and things for relaxation. So, we had all the herbs going, but we had lovely dreams. And then, yeah, just like the next day, it felt so magical and so aligned, in the days following. One of the friends, it was funny, like the local flower shop had like if your name is this, then you get free flowers. And they had drawn her name that day, so like the very next day. And so she got like a free bouquet of flowers from the local flower shop. And I was just like, oh, this is perfect. Because like for her, we were really like manifesting abundance and worthiness and all these things. And so like, of course she would then just like get this free bouquet of flowers out of the blue. But it's like, of course, these things are also not out of the blue when we sit down and we make these intentions and we set them and we ritualize it and we burn it and we let it go to God or to the universe or to spirit, whatever you want to call it. And you align yourself and you go with the flow. It's so powerful. It can be so powerful and it can work so quickly and give you so much relief so fast. I was such a ball of nerves going up to that ritual, that hangout, whatever you want to call it. And like afterwards, I've just felt such a sense of peace and calm and ease. Like I already am exactly where I need to be, and I'm on the path. And so, not to say that there's nothing that we have to do, because there is. We always have to do some things, but this made me feel much more aligned and in tune. And it had the same effect, I believe, on the other women who were in the group. So, um, this is all to kind of lead into like also, um, leaning into your own heritage leaning into your own beliefs and leaning into what spirituality and rituals look like and feel like to you. You know, it can be as simple as what I just explained with some candles and some friends and some good talk and laughter. Um, with an emphasis on our soul, with an emphasis on what are we calling in, what are we releasing, and really talking about what we're trying to do in this life, in this small amount that we have, this small amount of time that we have in this specific lifetime. And so, yeah. Anyway, oh, sorry, I was talking about your own heritage, your own feelings. So, I mean, I love Eastern philosophy. I love yoga. I love Hinduism. I love Buddhism. But I didn't make us sit and chant Buddhist chants or Sanskrit chants or anything like that. It was like what feels good to all of us, and that's what we did. And so I think there's power to that as well, that there's no one correct way to do things, and that you can find common ground even if you don't believe the exact same things. That being said, I'm reading a new book that it's not like new. I got it at the used bookstore. So it's a new to me book, but it's called A Voyage Long and Strange, by Tony Horowitz, and the subtitle is Rediscovering the New World. And so basically he's rehashing how the Americas were founded, because a lot of the ways that we as Americans even learned in grade school of the Americas, it's like very weird stories, very odd history, and not a very clear image or picture of how the hell we all got here. And so reading this book has been very interesting because it's gotten me really thinking about just different heritage and where we came from and all the things. I have some strong Swedish lineage in my family. And so in the very beginning of this book, they talk about the Vikings and the Norse people, and how the Norse were one of the last people to in Europe, in the European area, to convert from paganism to Christianity. And that didn't happen until about 1000 AD or so, a little bit after 1000 AD, which I found extremely interesting because I've never, not that I don't like Christianity, I think it's beautiful. I think that Jesus Christ consciousness is a beautiful, beautiful thing. I just think it's very much misunderstood. However, that being said, I do love pagan beliefs, and I love the 5 elements, and I love the in-tuneness that it comes along with those belief systems. And so I was like, well, no wonder I've always kind of been drawn to witchcraft and paganism and things of those nature, because like my lineage calls for it. It sings in that song, and they resonate together. So I think finding your own way that your spirituality fits with you and your life, your heritage, all of the things, is the most beautiful thing you can do for yourself and your family, because if if you are spiritually aligned and in tune, then the rest of your family can be aligned and in tune, even if they don't know it. They kind of like a tuning fork, like they just end up coming to your resonance or to your resonancy, like to your frequency. And they innately, they learn how to care for their own soul through you caring through with yours. And so also, if you can't do these practices with friends, do them with your family, do them with your children. I meditate with my children. We like to do some chanting together. We like to do some meditating. I say I like to meditate with them. They do not enjoy meditation yet. but it's so good for them. I mean, they do afterwards, you know, when I make them sit there, they're like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." But then after they sit through it, they're like, that was so good. And I'm like, I know. So slowly getting them there. But, yeah, so, all that is also to say that I'm now getting a book on Norse mythology and the Vikings and such, to learn even more about the tales and the sagas of the Vikings because, again, it's something I feel called to. So why not learn more about something that you feel called to? So I invite you to do the same. Anything that's calling to you, learn more about that thing. Dive in. I think people take for granted um, our ability to learn things and truly understand them and chew them over at a very deep knowledge and understanding. Because we have like Google and the internet. You're like, well, I can just look it up. I can just know in 3 seconds about it, blah, blah, blah. But to actually like seek out stories and books and things on a specific theme and learn more about it and really bring your a depth to your knowledge on that subject, that is very underrated, very undervalued, and it's such a beautiful thing. So I encourage you to follow your own interests and your own sparks in that way. And yeah, always shop local bookstores. My favorite bookstore is a like thrifted bookstore, and it's just this massive place. It used to be a grocery store, but now it's just like all books and shelves and books of every kind you could ever imagine. And it is amazing. So I love going there. And that is exactly where I found my Norse mythology book, and I'm really excited to share some stories from that, as I'm sure there's going to be some really cool relations to spirituality, living holistically, and having that mind, body, soul connection. So, yeah, yeah. That being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it's a little bit off the main topics of my typical asana, pranayama, and meditation. This one is a little bit more of a practical one, you know, do it in your life. Not that they're not all practical, but do this one for real in your life and tell me how you feel afterwards. Tell me what magic happens afterwards, after you share a evening or a day or a morning, whatever it is, in ritual with another. So, with that, my friend, I hope you have a lovely day. One light, one love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Also, I have some new guided meditations on my website. So go over to holistichathayoga.com and go to my guided meditations. And there is a um, stress and anxiety release meditation. And there's also just a basic morning meditation. So if you're interested in any type of guided meditation like that, go on over to my website, holistichathayoga.com, and grab those. You can download them and then use them as many times as you want. Buy once, use forever. So that is my gift to you, my friends. One light, one love. Bye.